and welcome to this episode of the Animation Action Hour podcast. I am Sam Palmer. I am a professional animator. I'm joined by my friends, my cohorts, my colleagues on this very special episode, who are also animators. That's the point of the show. It's Mr. Dan Crew.
Hello.
And Mr. Brian Hancox. He's busy. That's fine.
That's not a comedic beat. Brian has just dropped out there, so it's fine.
There we go. Perfect time for me to do that. So yes, this is the Animation Action Hour podcast. It's a podcast about animation by animators.
I've dropped out again.
Oh, and he's dropped out again. Brian has been having tech problems throughout the whole thing. But this is a very special episode because this week we've got our very, very first interview. And it is with Mr. Jorge R. Gutierrez, who is the creator, writer, director of things such as The Book of Life, Maya and the Three, El Tigre, just all these things we absolutely love. And it's been
all around ledge. Yeah,
just an absolute legend. And it's been incredible to actually be able to get him on the show. So we've got that for you to come up in just a little bit. I mean, spoilers, we've already done the interview. It was amazing. Can't wait for you to hear it. But for now, just want to say before we do anything else, thank you for listening to this podcast. I know there's been a little bit of a delay between episodes. Basically, it's just because, we are working, we're busy. Unfortunately, we just haven't had time to get together and record. So we do apologize for that. We don't want to do things like that. We don't want to have like long gaps with no kind of explained absence. But it just kind of it all came together this like recorded period. So next time we will have one in another 2 weeks. We're going to try and get back on schedule with the releases. So yeah, just apologies for that. But thank you sorry, Dan.
Sorry, Marcel with the Shelby shoes on is an arsehole to find a bloody screening of it, turns out. And by the time that episode comes out, the Oscars will be done and dusted, and we'll have a massive talk about that then, I dare say. So yeah.
Yeah. So we are planning our next episode to be Marcel the Shell with shoes on. So that's going to be a good one to get to. But I just want to say before we go on, again, thanks to everybody who's listened to any previous podcast ever in our library. Thank you to anyone this is their first one. Please carry on listening. Listen to our old episodes again. Just thanks to everybody. They're all available anywhere you can get podcasts from, basically. So things like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher. If you can get podcasts from it, you can get ours. Just search Animation Action Hour Podcast. And we're up there, and hit us a little subscribe so you can see when the episodes come out. Normally it's Wednesday mornings. Wednesday mornings UK time. But yeah, so Mr. Dan, what have you been up to recently?
All sorts. I had another video come out, which was Mr. Johnson by Kevin and the Black Country Sons, that sort of old school 30s looking cartoon.
I love that video so much.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I'm in talks with this local poet, and he's got a poem about this guy who keeps turning up to what was it now? He keeps turning up to parties with this big bag of crazy mushrooms, and things keep getting crazy, and he ends up going to like this big political Tory party at the end of the poem, and things just get crazy now. Then he wants it in a similar sort of style. So that's in the works. I mean, that's really fun to think. But that project came to a finish. I've been chilling out. I've been catching up, watching some things, playing a lot of Hades. Hades is an absolutely fantastic video game, and also doing this social project called Time to Make in the local Black Country area, where it's essentially like a pop-up artist studio, and we pop up. There's like a workshop on. There's tables where you can do like little bits of like creative bits, and it's all about getting creativity in the community. And we had our first meeting the other day, and it was fantastic. Many thanks to Brian putting the word about and everything. We ran out of tables and chairs, which is more than I could ever hope for, and that's going to grow into a really awesome thing. So dead chuffed for that.
Yeah, that sounds really, really cool. Cool.
How about yourself, good sir?
Been up to a little bit actually. Let me think. I got asked to do some commentary for a local wrestling show, which has been quite fun. I think because
local commentary.
Yeah, like full on. Like I originally was supposed to be the play-by-play guy, and I had someone who was coming in to do commentary who is like he is like a commentator. He's like a professional, like I don't know what you call it, like presenter type person. He does a lot of these. He used to do wrestling stuff back in the day, like ring announcing and commentary. More often now he does stuff like these, like you see him advertise these like stage shows where you can go to like I don't know, Birmingham Civic Hall or somewhere local to me, like Royal and Derngate in Northampton, and you have like a guy on stage interviewing like footballers, and there's like they have like a dinner and a meet and greet and stuff. He does a lot of those, like he hosts those and things. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it because his daughter was ill. So I had a little bit of almost a little bit of a breakdown. Like, oh no, can I do this on my own? And then someone who was randomly there filming for their YouTube video, called Heel Turn Films. So you find them on YouTube. They're really, really good. Guy called Titan. He stepped in, and me and him did the commentary. So I was the play-by-play, like the straight man, like the Michael Cole of the the outfit, and he was the Taz. He was the kind of devilish heel who would cheer on the heels and boo all the good guys and stuff. And it was actually a lot of fun, like so fun.
Thankfully, you said Taz and not Jerry Lawler then, because I was like, bloody hell, you don't want to be Jerry Lawler.
Michael Cole and Taz at ringside we were. And it was really good fun. Like we obviously went to the live show. I wore a suit. We sat behind the commentary table. We had headsets on and stuff. It was all like super legit. It's currently being edited, so hopefully once that is all out and available, I will be able to share the link and stuff with people so they can
get on the Animation Network.
Yeah, we'll stick it on the Twitter and on the Instagram and stuff so people can check that out. So that was really, really good fun. And just recently I went to Birmingham for the day. Not Birmingham, no, you live in Birmingham. I went to Nottingham for the day. That's the one.
You went to a gig there?
We went to a gig, yeah. There's a band called Bad Omens who are kind of like a melodic metal kind of band. They're genuinely really good. They were doing their UK tour. They were supposed to be playing at a venue called the Roundhouse in Nottingham, which is a smaller venue but still relatively big. But they sold it out, like completely sold it out. So they upgraded them to the Rock City, which is next door, but it's like a almost double-sized venue. Which they then
Rock
also
City's like the main one in Nottingham, I think.
It is, yeah. They then sold that out as well. But I was lucky enough to get into the second allocation of tickets for when it got upgraded to Rock City, because two of my friends were already going. So we went to Nottingham for the day. We went to Warhammer World in the morning, had some lunch and a bit of a mooch around there, and then in the evening went to Rock City to see Bad Omens, which was a really, really good show actually. I mean, other than that, I've just been kind of doing we're working on secret projects and things. I've been doing a little bit of those around and just kind of doing some freelance work and stuff sort of between roles. And it's been a kind of a nice fun time where I've sort of been discovering style again and sort of getting on with my own things a little bit while kind of doing bits for other people as well. And yeah, I'm not as sad as I once was. Let's just put it that way without going into too much details. Yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks. Brian, what have you been up to?
Hello. I've been trying to fix the internet because everybody's got a bajillion things going on the Wi-Fi. I mean, yes, so similar to Sam, I kind of left my old job. Long story short, I wasn't enjoying it anymore. New management, me didn't really get on. I don't really care if they're listening; they can listen all they want. They understood how it's gone. Yeah, we'll just say it wasn't a good experience. And so I decided to leave on a high note, and I am now a teaching assistant for special education needs, one-to-one, to a primary school near me, and I'm absolutely loving every second of it because kids are the next generation, and my student is absolutely amazing. They love drawing, they love doing all that stuff. I can't say much more, obviously, but it's just nice to be appreciated. It's nice to be able to make a difference to people's lives. You know what I mean? It's good. It is absolutely 100%. Other than that, I'm still doing my commission work, which is slowly getting finished. I recently finished my animated project for Westweird. So it was their intro, and I'm still doing a bit more artwork for the WWE and a few other people as well. But yeah, it's been really good. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. Like I said, the internet's been, as you know, you're used to by now.
Just before we started recording, I gave Brian's Wi-Fi password to all the houses around in his estate. So just a prank, Brian. Sorry.
I mean, I'm using Brian's Wi-Fi, and I'm not really anywhere near him. So that's
that's true.
That's how it goes. I mean, I'm kind of glad. I mean, again, kind of, I mentioned it earlier. We've already recorded our interview, but I'm glad the tech problems happened after the interview, not during.
Yes.
Yeah. which
my God, yes.
segues me nicely into the interview. So yeah, we are speaking to Jorge R. Gutierrez, who we are all massive, massive fans of. I mean, we all love Book of Life. We absolutely adore Maya and the Three. And he's just one of our like big inspirations. So getting the chance to actually sit down and chat to him will be / has been incredible. And we basically can't wait for you to hear the interview. So I guess that being said, I'm going to play the ditty and we're going to get into the interview. Okay, so as I literally just said in that link, interview time, and we're here with the
immeasurable, amazing,
fantastic Jorge R. Gutierrez. Thank you very much for coming onto the show.
I am super honored. Thank you for inviting me. I found you guys on Twitter, and then the exchanges happened, and here we are. The world coming together through technology.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It was I mean, I think I was the one that reached out to you first, and it was just like, he's replying. What's happening?
We all started sweating then, didn't we? It was just like.
I mean, we're all huge fans of your work, so like for you to come on, it's an honor for us for you to be here. So thank you just for being on our little show.
How do we formulate sentences at this moment? We go, breathe.
Well, I mean, what I love about you guys is it's clear you're friends, but you know your stuff. And a lot of times,
thank you very much.
When we do a press, I'm asked the craziest, weirdest things by people who not only don't know anything about animation, but don't seem to like it. So the questions are always about the voice actors, or what was the premiere? What was your wife wearing? It's like, guys, don't we want to talk about the thing you made?
I think that's kind of
some questions off my sheet, or no?
What were you wearing? Oh, come on, Dan. You've already dropped it to the gutter now. Come on.
I think that was one of the like I say it in the show all the time. Like our kind of unique selling point is the fact that we're all animators. That me and Dan met in animation school, and we met Brian later on, but he also went to animation school. So we're not obviously at the level kind of you are. We're kind of freelancers, but we're animators. We kind of know a bit about what we talk about, or like to think we do anyway.
Yeah, this podcast has been a really nice way of just talking about animation generally, because it was getting hard to talk to people about animation in like just my work or anywhere, because I just talk for hours about it. So I needed like an output to be able to talk about stuff.
It's a cathartic output, and it helps make a larger discourse within the community of art, whether it's fine art, graphic design, whichever. But it brings the community together. But anyway, we're talking absolute rubbish.
I think I guess first things first. Just kind of want to talk a little bit about your cultural background. Obviously, you're from Mexico, which has like an incredibly rich artistic kind of cornerstone. So, I guess just what is it like, kind of growing up in Mexico around that stuff?
Well, I have to say, being next door to the U.S., to the United States of America, culturally is a curse and a like it. And what I mean by that is that culture is so overpowering, right, worldwide. And so for a country to be next to it and survive, you have to really dig in and really sort of hold on to your traditions and your aesthetic and all these things, because you have this nuclear reactor of culture next to you. And so I think it makes Mexican artists very rebellious about sticking to their guns and sticking to their culture. And for a kid in Mexico to say, I'm going to be an animator, especially I'm 48, so in the late 80s was when I made that choice. There's no animation schools in Mexico. There was no animation industry in Mexico. So it was, I want to do this art form, and in order to do this art form, I have to go to next door, and I have to not lose myself. And that was really hard. And the allure of the animation industry in Los Angeles and the US is very, very seductive, in that if you follow the things that are being made, you're going to do really well. But if you want to change things and you want to do something different, oh my God.
Take risks.
It's really, really hard. And so I personally believe, because I grew up in Mexico City, which is the capital of Mexico, Then we moved when I was 9 years old to the border, to Tijuana, which is like right next to the U.S. And so what a lot of middle-class Mexican families would do is they would send their kids across the border every day to go to school. So every day I got to live in two countries. And every day I felt like, well, my family's doing pretty good in Mexico. And then I cross the border. Oh no, we're poor. And then I would go back to Mexico, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing pretty good again. So being rich and poor every day, being Mexican and being a foreigner every day, all those things really affected me in a positive way, because it really grounded me, and it really allowed me to see the reality of, all right, if I want my dream, what's at stake for me? And for kids who eventually went to Cal Arts, right? Cal Arts is this big school in LA. Their motivation, the way I saw it, was there was two kinds of artists. There were artists who were chasing the carrot of success, right? If I do this, I'll get to do something bigger, and I'll make more money, and I'll get the adoration of my peers, and I'll get the respect I've always wanted for my work, blah blah blah. And then there were artists like me who were going, if I don't get a job, I'm gonna get deported. If I don't get a job, I'm gonna
that's rough.
my country.
Humbling.
I'm gonna go back to my country, tail between my legs. I'm gonna go back to my country knowing how to do something that doesn't get made in my country. And there's nothing more tragic than that, right? So the stakes were very different. So I think in school, my teachers were very wise, and they basically told me, look, if you and I quote, if you keep doing this Mexican shit, two things are going to happen. Either you're never going to get a job, or you're going to get really good at it, and you're going to get a job because of it. Those are the two options. Yeah. And so the difference is you have to get good at it. And you have to get good at it to a level that people who've never been in Mexico, people who don't like Mexico, people who don't even care about any of that stuff, even those people go, that looks pretty cool. That looks pretty neat. That stuff is interesting. And that's the wall you have to climb. Because making something for your friends and only they get it is easy. Making something for your country or your city or your county and they all get it, that's easy too. Making something from a specific place that the whole world gets, that's really hard.
Yeah.
That's trailblazing, isn't it? You manifested your own destiny through your own kind of... well, you did. You manifested your own destiny through hard work. Obviously, research because you know your stuff. And you just did it, man. So well done, man. It's a positive vibe that everybody needs in their life. I mean, I get that kind of feel from like some of your influences from Jean-Michel Basquiat as well, because I know you like his stuff. He's got like a similar kind of vibe going on where he had to do his own stuff, and his parents were like from different areas, so you can see it kind of. He's like passed it down to you.
And the other thing, I'm on the autism spectrum, right? I didn't know I was autistic.
Yeah, same. I've got ADHD, so
I need to be tested for ADHD too. So
I think honestly, half the people in animation are probably on the spectrum, and they were never diagnosed. They never found out. But we were always kids that were different. We were always kids that were hyper focused and loved the medium in a way that most kids didn't. And I really believe that without people on the spectrum, animation wouldn't be the same, because I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of fancy directors out there who are on the spectrum and know they're on the spectrum. Yeah, told me they're on the spectrum, but they don't want to say it. Which I think at this point, I'm like, well, you've already made it. You've already succeeded. Like you're on your way into glorious retirement. Just be open about it.
Yeah. But you say that as well.
Those people as well, yeah.
Recently, I become a teaching assistant for SEND students, so special educational needs. My current student that I look after one-to-one, they're so switched on with animation. When I had my trial day like last week, because I literally had the job this week, they would talk to me about larvae and different animation, and like I'm going to throw a mirror at them eventually. But she's so enamored with animation. Like you says, people on the spectrum seem to get that kind of connection that a lot of people who don't. But I just wanted to like share that Yeah, absolutely, 100%. People should celebrate the fact they're different and they have their own qualities. But I'll stop now. Yeah.
Well, and then one of the things that I found, and the reason I love Basquiat and the reason I love Picasso, is these artists that, to me at least, they were in love with the process more than they were in love with the result.
Yes.
And that's what I connect to with those guys, right? Where as much as I love what we do, if I put weight into the result, then we're screwed, right? Because we will only finish things. They take 2-3 years or 4 years, sometimes 5 years. So that means you're only getting satisfaction every 5 years.
Yeah. Nah, that ain't gonna work, is it?
Yeah, right? You're gonna go mad.
Nah, that's not it.
So if you fall in love with the process, which sounds weird, but it really becomes, if you fall in love with working with other talent, with interacting, with iterations, with figuring out the problems, with figuring out how to make it better, if you fall in love with that, the results will be, in my opinion, even better, and you'll be happier.
Yeah.
So those guys, when I look at their bodies of work, like Basquiat painted, over 1,000 paintings before he died, and Picasso broke the world record of paintings. It's just the volume of work, and if that brings you joy, the trick to what we do is the more you do it, the better you get at it. And if you hate it, that's a miserable life.
Oh yeah.
But if you love it,
absolutely.
and you
Especially
keep
in
doing
animation,
it, then you're gonna get even better, and you're gonna be even happier. Because as we know in our medium, it doesn't get easier; you just get better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Yeah. So something that you couldn't do once, you try, now you can do that. So next time you know how to do that, and you have to jump over that other hurdle and sort out that other problem that comes later on. Yeah.
I just
no
did
shit smoothing the brick.
I think it's always learning, isn't it? You're always learning things. You're always seeking education from different places within animation. You never know animation. It's always bits and pieces you're always picking from, and
And there's no like, obviously there's people who are born with innate talent, but it's not like all of a sudden they know how to animate and all of a sudden they know how to write stories. Like, this is a developed skill. Last night I had dinner with my brother-in-law, Gabe Soar. Spunko guy. He just did Animaniacs. Brilliant guy. And we were talking about, he's also 48. How, old guys talking about the old days. But we were talking about video games for our generation. Really taught us about work ethic, about failing, about trying and not giving up, about if you do this, you get this, so that this is easier. And there's a whole school, a whole generation that were basically trained by video games to go, I'm going to die 1,000 times, but I'm going to
Battletoads.
Battletoads, right?
Anything you had to rent, because the rental people knew that, like, to get this is going to be really rock hard because you'll come back and rent it to beat it.
Rent or play in an arcade.
Right, playing in an arcade. It was like you only had, and I think all those things kind of hardwired a whole generation into going, I have to put in the work, and there's no way to cheat it, and I'm going to learn every time I die, and every time I fail, I'm going to figure out why. Like, I think that was kind of a unspoken school we all got.
I mean, I'm 40 in January, so I totally get that analogy.
One of my proudest achievements in life is being able to complete Time Crisis 2 with 1 coin, because I played
one coin.
That is like my gaming ultimate achievement, man.
I took my kid yesterday to an arcade where it was kind of a bizarre concept, but you paid $25 per person, and the whole arcade is free.
Ooh.
And so, for example, you can go to the Simpsons arcade machine, and then you add 100 lives, and then it was weird. It was a really weird experience. None of the kids were interested. Like all the dads like me were like giddy, like and all the kids were like looking at their phones and their iPads.
Yeah, this isn't Fortnite. What is this?
Emulator. I couldn't emulate that. Cool. I bet you went straight to the Ninja Turtles. You got to have gone to the Ninja Turtles one.
Yes. Oh, we finished Ninja Turtles, finished Simpsons, and we finished. What was it? The Avengers.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Nice.
Animation.
They're
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about this all the time. I was a Street Fighter kid, and I really think Street Fighter for me was the first time that I felt like that. You know, when you're moving your characters, you're moving animation, right?
Yeah.
So it was the first time where I connected. Like, I'm telling this cartoon character what to do, and I'm doing things. And the way I move him is different than the person next to me, and then the person who I'm fighting. So I think there's a connection there too, because I really believe. Yeah, and I think
me and my mate used to like play like 1 player and 2 player, but tell stories as if it was like playing with action figures almost. We'd have like a game of fighting, but then we'd like tell a story like, oh, it's really can have a fight, and then they go to fight a boss and stuff. It was really ace. Like that, play with toys essentially.
And I think that's the connection to animation is there for 2D and for stop motion and for CG, in that I think all of us as kids, all of us, or most of us, most children draw. And when you draw, they're imagining stories, they're imagining their characters coming to life, or they're doing interpretations of characters. And then with action figures, you're doing the same thing, right? You're creating these stories, you're mixing things up. And I think animation fulfills that core promise of drawings moving and coming alive, and action figures and toys coming alive.
Yeah. I was literally about to. That's my next question. Like, you as an animator, do you still try and engage that sort of childlike part of your brain that is like that play? Because like when you used to play with toys as a kid, you'd like frame it as you played with your toys. Like I remember framing shots as I was playing with my toys and stuff like that. So I wonder if you did the same, like with your toys as a kid. And
yeah, I mean, I'll show you guys. Like, I basically have toys everywhere. So I'm a toy guy, and I definitely, don't tell anybody, but I definitely think of the toy first, and I go, oh man, I wish I had this thing. I'm gonna make a story about this. And I kind of became a director because I got tired of people destroying my character designs, and I was like, how do I protect my character designs? I know.
Becoming the boss.
toy.
Go on, tell him, man.
Like Myra and the Three, I need a toy of all the characters from Myra and the Three, please.
Yes.
Can we
get some toys of that, please? Like pretty.
We tried
the big robots.
Oh, we tried really hard. Funko was completely into it. We were gonna do it. They did the Book of Life toys.
Yeah.
And then COVID
got a couple of the Book of Life toys there. I've got the Manolo on my DVD shelf downstairs, and like I rewatched Book of Life yesterday, and I was literally holding the action figure while I was doing it, and looking at the way his arms move and all that. Like it's the same as the character in the movie. And
we used the models from the movie for the toys.
That's cool. That's so cool.
Sick.
So I've literally been on like eBay looking for like basically bootleg Maya and the Three merchandise.
There's a holy grail out there. There's a Joaquin, the best friend. There's a prototype. The last I saw on eBay was $10,000. It was a toy that was never made.
It's steep.
Yeah, they're pricey.
Yeah, there was a box to Manolo actually on eBay yesterday when I was looking for £200, like English pounds. That's like what, $350, $400, something like that.
Yeah, that's
I mean, Mexico's known for its bootleg toys, with all that stuff. I mean, if you look hard enough, you'll probably find some Maya and the Three stuff, won't we?
I took turnarounds when we did El Tigre, when we did Book of Life and Maya, and I just hand them out at all the bootleg places.
You're an absolute mad lad.
Oh, it would be such a shame if these got made into.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I've got toys.
I would love just a Chimi from Maya and the Three, like a Chimi.
I know. I gotta. Let's see, where is she?
We've started it there.
This is it. This is all the podcast is just going to be us looking at our toys.
So, Chinese bootleg. So if you go,
really,
Maya and the Three, Chimi, Alibaba. That's where I got her.
I'm literally adding that to the notes, the podcast notes.
Right,
now.
so Alibaba.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, obviously, like I cannot endorse bootleg, but she's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you are the director, so it's fun if we have your permission to bootleg your.
Fan made.
To me, bootlegs are free marketing.
Yeah. There's a British heavy metal band called Malevolence, and they recently played some. Did a tour over here, and when they were leaving one of their shows, there was the guys outside selling like the bootleg T-shirts.
Bootleg T-shirts, yeah.
And they were taking pictures with them, and they're like, you've made it when people are selling bootlegs of your T-shirts outside your shows.
Yeah.
They were super hyped about it.
So cool.
I just see it as that kind of thing. Yeah, let's just get slightly back on topic a little bit. We do this anyway.
We're more fans though here. That's the thing.
This has always been a
we're more fanboys of the same stuff, toys, comics, like Mike Mignola, Gendy Tartakovsky. I got the name in. All this kind of stuff. Guillermo del Toro too. We all love this stuff, and that's what I like, because all our energies are coming out and just like we're enjoying ourselves. And I'm gonna let Sam kind of take over again. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
I'm sorry, I'm a sticker.
ADHD.
Structure, yeah. Because if we keep getting sidetracked, we'll get sidetracked for the entire time. And I'm down for that, but I don't know whether that's going to make a good episode for someone to listen to. Let me know. Sorry, what you think. So animation. Do you remember when you first experienced animation and you first put that connection in your head that hang on, someone is drawing this stuff and this is being made for a purpose?
I remember seeing those behind the scenes, making of Star Wars and seeing the Tom-Toms being animated, all that stuff. And it really kind of going like, what? Those are actual physical toys that someone's moving? And then seeing those Disney behind the scenes things. And I didn't quite grasp it. So for a long time as a little kid, I thought they would paint every cell and then shoot it. And I'm like, how did they know? I skipped the drawing part. I just went straight to and then did they paint every background? It took me a little while as a little kid to figure that out. And then eventually, what was it, in the mid-90s, they started doing all these behind-the-scenes making-of videos on the VHS tapes for the Disney movies. And I would just watch those religiously. And, seeing Glenn Keane draw was holy cow.
I had the one for Snow White. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
magic.
It was eye-opening.
And then the sad reality of going looking at your drawings and then looking at that stuff and going, oh no.
I still do that.
I'm years away from this. And then, in Tijuana, when I decided, I'm going to go to Cal Arts, I got to figure out how to get in. This is before the internet. So I would call the school and they would say, well, you need figure drawing. We need to know, this isn't a school that's going to teach you. The way they said it was really smart. They said, this isn't a school that's going to teach you how to draw. You need to already know how to do that. This is a school that's going to teach you what to do with that skill in animation. Right? So when you're 16, 17, you hear that, you're like, well, I don't know what any of that means, but I'll do figure drawings. And in Tijuana, there weren't a lot of art schools and there weren't a lot of appreciation for the arts. So I went to this public arts after school. And the only figure drawing models they could get were the exotic dancers that worked at the strip clubs. So I love figure drawing class. It was
funny. We've got the old guys. Yeah, we got the old guys.
Unfortunately, my figure drawings look like, very fake anatomy in many of them. And so when I would show them to teachers, they'd be like, "Where are you drawing?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, this is what they look like." And they're like, "Is that a scar?" I'm like, I don't know if it's a scar. And then, obviously, that taught me too that as important as drawing is, you can change whatever you want to the audience and emphasize or de-emphasize certain things. So it was a big lesson for me. And then eventually, when I went to Cal Arts, I was, it's a story I told many times, but I was 17 when I went. You usually get rejected 3 years in a row before you can get in. So my school, my counselor basically said, apply a year before you graduate high school so that you have at least 1 year early finding out you're not good enough. And I got in. I got in at 17 years old. I took drawings. Obviously, I took my figure drawings. I took drawings that I thought the Americans wanted to see. So I drew Bugs Bunny and Bart Simpson and Mickey Mouse, all these American things that I thought, well, it's a Disney school. They're going to want to see this stuff. And then I had a painting portfolio of all the things I love about Mexico. And I wanted to see if I could get into the painting schools just for ego. It wasn't even to go there, because even at 17, I knew if I study painting, I'm fucked, right? So that's not realistic, but animation is. That's how naive I was. So then I go to this Cal Arts. The guy reviewing the portfolios is this brilliant artist named Jules Jules Engel, he was Hungarian. He worked at Disney. He worked at Fantasia. He worked at UPA. Brilliant guy. And he looked at my figure drawings completely unimpressed. Right? Like, what's wrong with these women? Took the drawings aside, looked at all my American drawings, and just tore me a new one. Said, "This is shit." But you thick Hungarian accent, right? Why do you poop in my eyes with these drawings? And he said, "You're not an artist. You're just copying, and you have no voice. So don't follow this because you're not an artist." And so it first of all, it was like an arrow to the heart in the difference between skill and intent. Right? So it was like, yes, you can draw, but you're saying nothing with your drawings. So you are not an artist.
Yeah, it's an expression, isn't it?
Right? A huge thing. And then as I was
into your drawings.
Yeah. Skill can only get you so far. So I'm devastated, and I leave. The gods, the ancient gods took pity on me at that point, and I left my painting portfolio, and he opened it up, and his eyes lit up. And hey, sad boy, come back. And he puts the first painting, which were these skeleton mariachis at a wedding, playing, and everybody in the wedding is having a great time. And he goes, "What the fuck is this?" And I go, "Oh, these are mariachis for a wedding, but on the way to the wedding they died, but they owed it to the bride and the groom, so they still showed up as skeletons, and it was Day of the Dead, so everybody was happy, and they just played." And he said, "That's a story." And painting, he went, "Tell me the story of every painting." And I had 10 paintings. Every story was a painting, and every painting was a story. And at the end, he had this giant grin, and he said, "You stupid boy. This is your voice." And he said, "Why did you do these?" And the most honest answer was, "I don't know. I just had to." And he said, "Ha! That's your voice."
Yep. You nailed it right there. Yeah.
And said, "You're coming into the school, but you have to swear to me you will never, ever, ever do what you think we want to see. You're going to do this." And I've never seen this on the screen, and I've definitely never seen this coming from someone who actually is from there. That was the other thing back then. It was like people go on trips and they would interpret a culture, but it was really hard to get someone from that culture to interpret their own culture.
Yeah.
And I remember there were other Mexican American students who would look at me and go like, "What are you doing, man? You're gonna piss them off doing our stuff."
But that's the point. Punk rock, yeah.
That was definitely the punk rock attitude. So I got in super early, and then as soon as I got in, I realized, oh no, even on a draft skill level, I'm the worst. Like what got me in was my voice, but on my skills, I am not even close to a lot of these guys. And back then, there were, I kid you not, there were Korean directors who had been working in the industry for years in Korea, coming to the US just to get a degree so that they could teach in Korea again. So you would be in a figure drawing class next to a guy who would work on Akira, and a guy who directed Dexter's Lab next to you, and you look at their drawings and you're like, again, as a kid, you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? How are they that good? So early on, again, not knowing I was on the spectrum, I started studying my classmates, and I started realizing, wow, artists are super good at procrastinating. Procrastination is such a thing. And again, this is 1994, so the internet, it's not really there. So video games are there, obviously movies are there, renting stuff to watch at home is there. But what I witnessed was artists are so good at coming up with excuses as to why they can't do it. I don't have a pencil. I need to watch, 122 episodes of this anime in order to start my thing. Like all these insane excuses to not actually do the work. And then I also found that you would create these weird support systems where you would hang out with people like you, and then you would all keep each other down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
What do you think this podcast is?
It's a coping mechanism. It's procrastination.
It's
to the next level.
codependent procrastination. That's all it is.
The more you keep talking, the more you keep holding up this mirror, and I'm like, oh God.
And then
That's
the
me.
flip side to that was there are people who are not as naturally gifted and talented, but who have a work ethic that is unstoppable. And I would see the very, very, very talented people kind of coast and not go up. And then I would see the people who would just work, really dumb work and wouldn't go up. And then I realized, oh, it's the smart people, the smart workers. Those are the ones that are going up. They're not wasting, they're working, but they're working smart. And they're not working to work, they're working for specific goals. And that was it. I was like, I can't pick how much time I have, but I can definitely pick who I hang out with, and I can most definitely pick what I do with my time. So I'm just gonna outwork everybody. And I'm not going to be a dick about it. I'm not going to be arrogant. If I get a character design assignment, I'm going to do 10 on my own. And then curate and pick the best one and turn that one in. And I'm going to cheat by just doing more. And when no one's looking, I'm just going to get better and better and better. And I'm never going to compete with anybody else. I'm going to compete with me. And that was a big aha moment. And I remember reading this Robert Rodriguez book that said every film student has 10 shitty shorts in them, and the faster you get them out, the faster you get the good stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And I took that to heart, and I witnessed, there's a cemetery somewhere in the world where there's the tombstones of every ambitious student film that was never finished.
Yeah.
People wanted to make their Citizen Kane, their epic on their first film, and never finished. It's never finished. So my intent early on was, I'm just going to do as many shorts as I can, just to get them under me, and they won't be great. And each one I will focus on. One I will focus on animation, and one I will focus on color, and one I will focus on dialogue, and one I will focus on editing. I broke it down. And by the time I graduated for my bachelor's, I did my bachelor's in 3 years. School gave me full scholarship because I was working so much.
Oh, wow.
By the end of it, I think I'd done 14 shorts. And so making short wasn't precious to me anymore. It's just a step to get better. And so when I got to my master's, same thing. The school was like, "We'll pay your tuition." At that point, the Mexican government, the Arts Council, was seeing what I was doing, so they paid too. And I said, "All right." After spending 3 years doing, 14 shorts, I'm going to spend 3 years doing one short. And at that point, I loved stop motion, I loved 2D, and I hated CG animation. Because again, this is 1990, this is mid-90s. It's not the CG of today. Those computers were crazy back then. Very slow. And so I said, all right, well, the coward's way would be to keep doing what I'm getting good at. The bravest thing I can do is to embrace the thing I hate. So I basically said, I'm going to do CG. So I started.
He went there.
And I jumped in, and I spent 3 years using soft image. It was really tough. I finished my short, and a year before I graduated, I got an internship to work on Stuart Little, the CG Mouse movie at Sony. And as an animation intern, I was in the character animation department. It was eye-opening. It was one of those moments where I realized, oh, I don't want to be an animator. Like, I don't want to be an actual animator, because especially in visual effects, the story's been figured out.
Yeah.
You have no say in any of the two things that I love, which was story and design. As an animator, you have, especially in that world, zero input into those things. I never met the director. I never met you just didn't
No.
you were in a different part of the process. And I would look at my cube, the cube next to me and the cube next to me, and people were so happy animating. And it was a real struggle for me. And I think it taught me, you're not cut out to be an animator. And I really believe that skill, if there's no joy to it, you at some point go crazy. So you have to love it. So I went back to school. I had 1 year left to finish my short. I basically said the animation doesn't matter anymore because I don't want to be an animator. I need to focus on story and design. And another big thing I learned in school was, why aren't they teaching us screenwriting? The real power to all these things is in the scripts. And why are we not learning this? So I started taking as many screenwriting classes as I could because I saw directors that could write, like Brad Bird, all these guys that I was like, if they write, they control their future.
Yeah.
So my last year, I really focused on writing, finished my short, and we won the Student Emmy. I got to go to the Cannes Film Festival, but it was super sad. It was a very sad short. It's called Carmelo, and that's where Book of Life came from. An agent immediately signed me and said, hey, your award-winning short is pretty good. Write a movie. And I was so naive. I'm like, well, how hard could that be? So I wrote the outline to Book of Life, and then I couldn't find work anywhere. My portfolio, people would tell me like, this stuff is great. Where's your non-Mexican stuff? And I was like, no, this is my stuff. And they're like, well, it's not that we're racist, but we just don't make things like this. So if we don't make things like this, we can't hire you. So I remember our producer at Nickelodeon said, the only person who's going to hire you is you. I was like, what do you mean? You have to be sitting where I'm sitting. You have to be the creator. You have to be the showrunner. You have to be the person behind the thing. Stop selling yourself as an artist and start selling shows.
Yeah.
And again, it always takes another person older than you to tell you something that when you look back. Yeah, the old wise men's mentors are always there, and they see the young blood and they go, hey, dummy, this is what you need to do. And if you listen to them, if you listen to this hard-earned wisdom, all the answers are there. So I went back, I saw on the internet, we're now in the year 2000, the horrible internet cartoons that looked terrible. And I remember going, I can do that. I can do something better than that. And so after spending 3 years to do this 8-minute short, I got a pirate version of Flash, and I spent maybe a month doing an internet cartoon with my wife and a friend, and I put it up, and it got 20,000 views in one night. Oof. Which back then was like 2 million views too.
Yeah, it was immense.
Immense. And so Sony, where I had done my internship, those producers saw it because I sent them a link, and they said, "We love your short, but more than anything, we love how many views it got."
You proved it.
And that was a huge lesson. It was people more than likely will not pay you to see if you can do something. But they will pay you if you do it without them to do it again. Right? So
I think
with me it was
permission, isn't it?
Right? Never ask for permission. And with me it was, this kid did this with zero resources. What if he had resources? So they bring me in and they're like, hey, so who wrote it? Well, I wrote it. Who directed it? I directed it. Who animated it? I animated it. Who did the voices? I did the voices. All right. We want to hire you to do all that. And we're going to give you a budget, and somewhere in the Hollywood, universe, a little box that said creator, an X went through it. And I became a creator because I had created something. And I became a director and I became a writer because I had done those things. So as soon as that show got canceled, and they canceled the whole division. All the TV studios, Disney and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, said, "Hey, Sony took a chance on that guy, and look what he did. What if we take a chance on this guy?" So you're basically you're at all times a risk, and your job in Hollywood is, how do I become less risky as an investment to the people that would do animation if they could without people like us, but they realize they can't.
Yeah.
So it's that symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it's like the AI thing that's going on at the moment with artificial intelligence and the art and all that kind of stuff. It's like, if they could, they'd use that, but they're obviously missing you or us, and you're absolutely 100% right on that.
Well, and the AI stuff, honestly, it's ridiculous. Though I equate it, I know I might be the lone voice in this, but remember when those Seagate machines were going to change transportation all over the world, and nothing was ever going to be the same? Remember that?
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen with AI.
It's like Flash, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone thought Flash you could click a button and do it all for you. It's like, no, you've still got to put the work in. It's just it's on a screen now instead of being a massive stack of paper, basically.
I mean, it just looks like Instagram filters on a video, like that.
Yeah. That is literally it. You've nailed it in one sentence. Instagram filters.
I saw a great metaphor the other day. It was like someone making a bowl of cereal and calling themselves a Michelin star chef. It's like, you're like, you don't get it, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. So I really want to talk about Book of Life, just because I absolutely love Book of Life. It's one of my favorite movies ever, basically. Me and Brian are huge fans of the Mesoamerican kind of Mexican folk art and all that sort of stuff.
Pre-Columbian everything. Oh.
Yeah, sort of. Which for being in the UK, which is kind of just its own island, and discovering that stuff is kind of, we don't have stuff like that. I mean, we've got this and legends and like King Arthur and like Knights of the Round Table and Robin Hood and stuff, but we don't have that kind of iconography and stuff associated.
We're kind of
with
multicultural in a way. Like we have Indian, we have Caribbean, we've got all that going up as the Empire thing. Oh dear, but like the Mesoamerican, the Mesoamerican stuff though. The Mesoamerican stuff hasn't really penetrated into like our culture as of yet, and
trying to find that stuff, because I've went to the library because I'm doing a project at the moment that you might like, and I'm trying to find like Mexican cultural stuff in like the library, and there's one book I could find in our entire library. There's this one.
Wow. And
it's barely got anything in it, but I managed to find this one on Amazon, but there's literally nothing.
Wow, I literally have that book.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Say the title for the podcast listeners, Brian. You've shown the book and they can't hear what it is.
I'm sorry. That's not my fault.
The
book is called The Gods and Symbols of the Ancient Mexico and the Maya by Mary Miller and Carl, I can't pronounce his name, I don't want to butcher it, Carl Tube. But the problem is that I couldn't find any references and stuff, and like obviously going on the internet I found some more kind of like, I've been using some of the stuff like this, you know, like, I mean, like a lot of scratchboard artists like Mendez and all that kind of thing, but there's not enough exposure. I think that's what I've kind of took over from Sam from you guys over in the like Europe in general. Like it always seems like you guys had like an influence from Europe, obviously because of how history goes, but the pre-Columbian stuff and all that kind of stuff, we may have bits and pieces in museums, but there's not enough books or anything on it over here, and it's frustrating.
But I guess similar to what you were saying earlier about growing up in Mexico and it being literally next door to America, like over here in the UK it's dominated by American culture. Like everyone is watching the American TV shows and wearing the Nike trainers, and like America is seen as this big all-encompassing orb, but then unlike somewhere like Mexico, we don't have that our own kind of cultural texture we can grip onto. So
are you kidding me?
Well,
the Beatles.
But it's not as cool. Well, in my opinion, it's not as cool as like the kind of Mexican imagery and like the day
pretty lame, to be fair.
All that stuff. Like, so it's from discovering that from when I was quite young. I mean, as I said, I'm nearly 40, and it's just been there. Like the whole idea of like the concept of Day of the Dead and like remembering lost loved ones and things and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just absolutely fascinating. And it's just this kind of rich cultural cornerstone we don't seem to have, or if we do, we're overlooking it because this stuff looks cooler.
Yeah.
Well, I will say something magical happens to anybody from anywhere when they leave their country. And so if you guys moved somewhere else, I bet the way you would think about the UK would change completely. Because this love and romanticism and nostalgia for it would just grow in you. And that's what happened to me. The further away I got from Mexico, the more I romanticized it, and the more you value something when you're not close to it, and when you have been taken away from it. And I think for Book of Life, that's the concept of remembering people who are not with you anymore, right? Like, you took them for granted, and now that they're gone, we really appreciate them. And now that they're gone, you realize how good you had it, but it's too late. The concept of death in Latin America is different than Europe, and then
so much better.
We've got a very Christianic view of, like,
you're right, the way I see it as a foreigner, especially in the U.S., is people just don't talk about those who passed away, and people they really it reminds them of the pain, and they choose not to feel that pain. And by the easiest way to not feel that pain is to not think about it. And I think that's very different. In Mexico, you talk about death before you're going to die for years. Once it happens, everybody obviously gets sad, but at the same time, it's not the end of that person. And this concept of talking about them all the time and telling their favorite stories and eating their food and their dishes and sort of this reminder of they are here as long as we talk about them is part of the culture. But the big idea of having skeletons everywhere and having death everywhere and having just iconography everywhere, it really is to go, hey dummies, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, long time dead. It sounds like Veritas, but like opposite almost.
Reminders everywhere. Live your life. Take that chance. Talk to that person you're shy to, because it's now or never. Take that risk at work.
Sam did it.
If you don't don't save for tomorrow. It's about today, because tomorrow might never come. Like, all those ideas are ingrained. And originally it was a European concept, but in Mexico people have really, really sort of adapted it in that every Mexican has a beautiful lady that's death constantly whispering in their ear, live. Right? It's gonna end. So all that was Book of Life.
Chills.
And one of the things that happened on Book of Life was, as the first movie to deal with this subject matter, man, I got rejected everywhere. I was told, too macabre, this is too weird, there's no way you can make a movie about death, there's no way you can make a movie about bullfighting. What do you mean they're wooden toys? Like, what? People can't emote with wooden toys? All this stuff, and I was like, well, Pinocchio and Toy Story, they're like, that's different.
It was literally there, yeah.
It's so refreshing though. It's like, I mean, obviously we hadn't really seen anything like that before, but then with all the colors and the celebration, it's just such a great movie. As far as, like, I hate using the word that's a great movie because you're not really criticizing or you're not really saying what's good about it, but it's just a great piece of art. I absolutely love it.
And I will tell you, it was at DreamWorks in 2017. So after El Tigre ended, that's the project I started at DreamWorks. And I was there for a year, and 3 movies were going to come out. B Movie, How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda. 2 of those are awesome. Unfortunate.
Big Seinfeld fan.
By the way, some people love B Movie, but the world did not embrace B Movie.
Some people are wrong.
Everybody's an opinion, but some
people take irony too far.
Love story between a human, full-grown woman and a bee. This Kids will love this. Anyways, B-movie comes out, it bombs. Development changes at DreamWorks as it tends to happen in all these studios. And so I went from we love your movie idea to can't take place in Mexico, no wooden dolls, no bullfighting, main character can't die. And we would love for this film to now take place in urban New York and have it be a hip hop musical. It's 2008, a hip hop musical with Lin-Manuel Miranda. So this is before Hamilton, before Lin became Lin. And they were like, he's Puerto Rican, you're a Mexican. We'll put you in a room together.
It's all the same.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
Wow. That is so.
Yeah. So I quit on the spot. And I remember telling them, you tell Lin-Manuel Miranda, you tell her, good luck with her career. I had no idea it was a dude. So then I quit, worked at other places. And then out of nowhere, this studio in Dallas called Real Effects, who, by the way, had never made a movie, said, we can't make a $160 million movie, because that was the original budget at DreamWorks. We think we can make Book of Life for $50 million. And we'll let you write it and we'll let you direct it. We don't have $50 million. We have $25 million. But if we hire you and you move to Texas and you work in our studio and you help us find the other $25 million, we'll make your movie. And so I found it very ironic that I had to leave Mexico to make things about Mexico. And here I was, I had to leave Hollywood to make a Hollywood movie. And everybody, all my crew from El Tigre, I thought, it was like Braveheart. I'm like, charge, we go to Texas. No one came. Not a single person came.
Has anyone got $25 million by any chance? So then everyone just every room empty.
Everybody thought it was a dumb, crazy, ridiculous risk, except my wife. When I told my wife, I said it. We had a 2-year-old at that point. Hey, if we go and it doesn't work, then I have to come back to LA. Failed, right? Tail between my legs. And she said, no. If we go to LA, if we go to Texas, and it works, you make your dream movie. And it doesn't work, you don't get to blame us for not following through this dream.
Yeah.
And you swing, we swing as hard as we can with you. So I'll start packing. And I fucking love my wife. So we go to Dallas. We didn't know anybody. We started from zero. And because of who I am, I said, this is going to make the movie even better. Because no one believed it. And now that will fuel me even more. So eventually we get a year to write the script, a year to do a bunch of vis dev, pitch it to Guillermo del Toro. He's horrendously, terribly busy, and the prettiest girl in the party. So getting to Guillermo was really hard. Famous pitch story where I really screwed up. But at the end, he said, I saw Tigre. I have 2 daughters, and we love your show. And literally, thanks to El Tigre, he said, I'll be your producer on Book of Life. And then he kicked my ass. And if anybody's going to kick your ass, it should be someone you love and admire. And he really did. He really did make me a better artist, made me a better person, and honestly kind of challenged the core of who I was as far as a storyteller, because he is of the belief, and he'll say it, he'll say success and failure live on the same block, and there's no number to the house. So you just got to knock on one of those doors. Right? But you got to follow your gut. So it was really hard. We made that movie exactly for $50 million. Halfway through, they announced Coco at Pixar. So that in a weird way helped Book of Life get made, because it told Fox at that time, hey, if Disney's willing to make a movie about the subject matter, you guys are onto something. So I told Lee Unkrich and Adrian Molina, the Coco directors, I thanked them. I was like, thanks to you guys, I get to do my movie. And over finishing the movie, lots of crazy things happened. And then finally the movie came out. And Fox didn't know what to do with it, as you guys can tell by the marketing. They were like, is this too dark? Is this too weird?
Yeah.
They didn't really know. And this is a studio that had put out Ice Age 5 and Rio 2 and like these broad 4-quadrant, super family movies. And Book of Life didn't really fit that. And then they had done Fantastic Mr. Fox and sort of more indie stuff. But we weren't really that either. We were somewhere in the middle. So they didn't know what to do with it. It made $100 million at the box office worldwide, so double its investment. And then it blew up on Blu-ray. No one saw it coming. That's where most people discovered it. And then Disney buys Fox. So when Book of Life hit Disney Plus, it blew up. And I can tell you it blew up because of the residuals I get from it.
Hence all the toys in the
Yeah. So it's one of those.
This check that came through the door told me that it blew up.
Oh, look.
And honestly, when you make something, you owe. It doesn't belong to you anymore, right? It's like your kid. Your kid is now their own person. You hope you raise them right, but it's on them and the world to see what happens. That's kind of what happened to the Book of Life. So it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I keep getting the most beautiful, amazing letters from different people from all over the world. It's huge in Russia for some reason, pre-Ukraine war. Russia. I don't know what's happening there now, but it connected to certain parts of the world, and it definitely connected to. Obviously, a lot of people are finding it because of Coco. So on Disney Plus, if you watch Coco at the end, they're like, "Would you like to see something like this?" So again, thank you, Coco.
Yeah, I mean, Coco is a great movie, but they're not really anything alike. So people, I know there's some conversation around like, oh, they're the same. It's like, well, they're not. It's the same set in the same area, but they're two different movies. They're two entirely different movies.
And Book of Life is a love story. Like there's no. I always say it's an action adventure love story.
Yeah. And
Coco is about culture and about family. Like they're very different.
Yeah, completely different, but obviously similar. Guillermo del Toro. Even you said a little bit about him already, but we absolutely love Guillermo del Toro's work here. So just what's he like, other than obviously kicking your butt?
We've heard stories,
yeah.
So
can you get it up? We'd love that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you some great Guillermo stories. So early on, when I started working with him, this is my hero, right? Like you guys, I very much admire him from afar, and I only knew the behind-the-scenes director's commentary Guillermo, who's this like giddy Mexican Santa Claus type of character.
That's pretty accurate.
Right? He makes children's dreams come true. So when I started working with him, I got to see Guillermo, and he's a tough guy in that he's expecting a lot, and he's fucking so smart. And so you gotta come up to his level, or try to come up to his level. And early on, I really struggled working with my hero in that anything he would suggest, anything he would say about the story or the designs or the characters, I would look at him, and I had like a little kid pretending to be a superhero looking up at Batman. And I would see the Fawn from Pan's Labyrinth and the Pacific Rim robots and Hellboy like all standing behind him.
Oh my god.
So I would see the weight of his work behind them. And it was really tough. It was really tough for me to disagree. Even in my gut, I'm like, that's not a good idea. But he made Pan's Labyrinth. No, he must be right. And so I would just say yes to everything. And I could tell he was not happy about that. So,
like he expected a bit of pushback to like get the conversation flowing or something. Yeah.
So at a big meeting in front of all the executives, we were talking about story, and he said something about a thing, and it was one of those moments where I was like, fuck, if I get in trouble for this, at least I'm getting in trouble for the right thing. And I said, Guillermo, I don't think that's a good idea. And he turned like delighted. And he was like, why isn't that a good idea? And I was like, well, if we do this, this will happen, and that will affect this other thing, and that, blah, 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 blah. What do you think we should do then? Well, I think if the concern is this, and we do this, blah, 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 blah. And it was, again, huge grin. And he calls me gordo, right? Which is an affectionate way to call somebody fat. Gordo! He goes, gordo, did you hear that? And I was like, what? He said, that was your testicles dropping. You are now a man. And he goes, from now on, never hold back. You tell me what your gut tells you. You might be right. You might be wrong. But if we don't hear you, we don't know. Rebellion is a virtue. Don't follow things just to follow them. And that was a humongous lesson. The other crazy Guillermo thing he did to me once was we were in another meeting with all the executives, and Guillermo is brilliant in these meetings. He's so good at making whatever the notes and whatever the things are better for the movie. And he's masterful about how he can sort of charm people into doing what is best for the movie. So we're in this meeting with all the toy people for Book of Life, and as the head of the studio and all the executives, and they go, "Hey, your main character Manolo, he can't have pink socks." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, we can't have pink socks. And Guillermo, he like sits down very comfortably. He's like licking his chops, and he's like, Gordo, tell them like pink socks are important. So I'm like, well, in traditional bullfighting, pink socks is part of the attire of a matador. It's very important. It's about the masculine and the feminine. So I give him the cultural reason why the socks have to be pink. And toy people are like, nope, little boys will not buy toys that have pink in them. So Guillermo goes, okay, Gordo. Strike one. Go again. So I'm like thinking really fast. I go, hey, there's all these, and I start mentioning, right? Like Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z. And I start coming up with every villain and every hero I can think of that has pink in them. And the toy people are like, nope. Those are not main characters. Those are not the heroes. Goku isn't wearing a pink outfit. The highest selling Power Ranger is the Red Ranger, right? Literally, right? What you have behind you. So Guillermo's delighted by this, right? He's like a seal, and he's like just loving me getting my ass kicked. And he goes, okay, Gordo, last strike at bat, go. And everybody's just leaning in at this point. Right? So I tried culture. I tried basically referencing consumer products from before. And then it hit me. And I went, oh my God, the movie comes out in October. So I go, oh, when does our movie come out? And they're like, October. I'm like, what month is that? And Guillermo starts thinking, and then he starts laughing. And I go, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the United States. All the major leagues, football, basketball, super macho guys are wearing head-to-toe pink outfits. Are you telling me 20th Century Fox does not support breast cancer awareness?
Twist the bloody knife.
Nailed it.
How dare you?
Nailed it, man.
And Guillermo gave me like the Citizen Kane slow clap. He was like, and the toy guys were like, well, you get your stupid toy. Pink socks. But that was Guillermo. That was he again taught me to move on your feet, be really, really smart, be very collaborative. The magic of Guillermo is he can see collaborations that might not work. He can see them working. And so he will mix things that you're not used to seeing. And I think it's part of his super talent in that he loves fine art. but he loves geek culture. And so those two loves, usually most people are one or the other. He is both. So he's like Blade. He's the Daywalker.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Pacific Rim. Let's just put that out there. Just just a gem.
Just we've spoken about it before, but just the director's commentary track on the Blu-ray of Pacific Rim. It's just a 2-hour movie lecture with Guillermo del Toro. Why would you not want to listen to that?
Yeah.
So good.
And
I'm aware we're running out of time, but I just quickly want to ask about Maya and the Three, because we absolutely love that as well.
yeah, absolutely.
It's obviously it's got the amazing kind of texture and cultural work that that's kind of is your trademark. But also it's basically like a living comic book, and it's action packed and it's funny, and
it doesn't stop, does it?
It does not. It does not relent. I mean, I
hits you with everything. Man.
I cried at the end of it. I thought it was so good. So can you tell us a little bit about just kind of how it came around?
Yeah, I mean, I like most kids, I love fantasy, and I love I did not play Dungeons and Dragons. I love the covers, but when I would open the books and see all the numbers, that was enough to scare me. But I love the video games, and I love even the crappy 80s cartoon. And I love when Lord of the Rings came out, like most people, I was shocked. I've never seen anything like it. It was fantasy done in a way where it was fun and respectful, but it just felt gravitas, and it felt profound, and it felt like I saw every one of those movies with my family, like my mom and dad and my sister, and we go every Christmas. Like, it became a tradition. So I was enamored with that. And then when Netflix started animation, they were, that Netflix is dead, but Netflix back then, because they were starting from zero, they were going, let's get people we love, and let's let them swing and do something that they've never done before. Let's do all the passion projects that people think are risky. Back then, they had Disney, they had Warner's, they had everything in their library. So they didn't want you to do something they already had. They wanted you to do something different. Now that Netflix is gone because everybody took their toys home, right? So Disney, everybody took their stuff. So now they want, make us a Disney thing, make us a DreamWorks thing, make us an Illumination thing. But back then, it was the Wild West. So when I pitched Maya, my original idea for Maya was Lord of the Rings. It's going to be 3 movies. And we're going to go on this crazy journey. And the inspiration for it was whenever I would talk to people about the Aztecs, the Mayans, their knee-jerk reaction for negative stuff would always be like, oh, but didn't they do human sacrifices? And that was such a turnoff for almost everybody. And for me, going, all right, well, let's embrace that. Let's embrace the negative, and let's turn it into a positive. And let's go into this idea that people are appalled by human sacrifices when we live in a world where everybody's sacrificing themselves, right? You sacrifice yourself for your parents, for your significant other, for your kids. Women sacrifice their jobs, they sacrifice their dreams for the greater good of their families. And so it became, all right, what does it mean to sacrifice? And what if you're told you have to sacrifice yourself? What would you do? What if in Lord of the Rings, and it came down to this, what if in Lord of the Rings, the ring is a person? And what if in Lord of the Rings, the ring chooses to sacrifice itself to save humanity? So that's how it started. And then it became, all right, so if this is going to be about a girl who sacrifices herself, everybody knows princess movies. Everybody knows princess movies. The tough princess that doesn't want to be a princess. So for me, it became, how do I trick the audience into thinking this is one of those? But then, surprise, surprise, it's not at all. So I literally went, this is be like, Mulan and Brave and all these archetypes of what Disney characters are, the goofy dad and the stern mom and the lover to enemy to lover. So it was, all right, what are the tropes? because we're in a time where people are consuming so much media. So how do I take all these tropes and how do I subvert them? And how do I use all this stuff to trick the audience into thinking, oh my God, you guys killed Pichu 2 episodes before the finale. That's probably it. Well, no. That was there to make you think that was it.
Yeah.
So that when
That caught me off guard. Yeah.
So that when we hit you at the end, you did not see it coming.
Nope.
And no one who saw it was like, oh, I figured out Maya was going to die. We tell you from episode 1, it's coming. And no one wants to believe it. So to me, those are the best stories where you are now in an embrace and you literally are having a love affair with your audience and unexpected things are happening. So that was the love of fantasy movies like Lord of the Rings and Greek mythology, and I'm a big lover of Hong Kong movies, so I love all the countries who are getting to do their take on their mythologies and their fantasies, and the concept of royalty going to the underworld to do something and coming back is in every culture, in African culture, Asian cultures, Europe, obviously Latin America. So those were universal concepts. The other big one, honestly, for me was, if I'm gonna get to do this, then I want the fights to be amazing. And I want the designs to be fucking crazy. Like no one's gonna hold me back.
Boy.
And then I'm gonna, we're doing this at home, so we're gonna do a 2:3:5:1 aspect ratio. Let's break the aspect ratio. Let's do all the stuff that.
I love when they step outside the aspect ratio. That was awesome.
Yeah,
when that first happened, I was like, "Oh, that's clever."
Yeah.
And then we did the first 2 episodes. Netflix freaked out. They were like, "This is really wild and they're really weird and strange and kind of mature." And so we tested it. They tested it with kids. They tested it with moms, and the testing came back, right? Because Netflix was scared of infidelity, because it's a big part of the story. Human sacrifice, and then the tone. They were like, you go from death to jokes, and I kept saying, it's Book of Life. But they were a little unsure, so they tested it. It tested it fantastic. And after the testing happened, then they said, all right, you guys, you know what you're doing. Just go for it. And that's what we did. When the show came out, it was #1 in top 10 lists in 58 countries around the world.
Wow.
In UK. I remember seeing it. I remember seeing it in the UK,
And obviously the belief was, well, we know it'll do well in Latin America, and we think it'll do well in the US, but they had no real way to go, we think it'll do well in other parts of the world, because there'd never been stuff like this. And Netflix is a lot of the streamers are math-driven companies where they go, this worked, let's make something like this again. So when you go, I want to do something that's not like what's out there, they don't know. Their numbers don't reflect it. So it was a real, I don't think Maya gets made today. It would have been too risky. So it got made at the perfect time. And again, because of the history of the world at that time, I said, I want to sneak in some Book of Life cameos there.
We saw it.
Yeah.
We saw the thing. That was beautiful. The cross references. Oh.
So I had to get permission from Disney, and Disney gave it to us.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's always nice to know that they'll collaborate like that. It's better for the entire kind of industry in that way as well.
Well, and Nickelodeon let me put El Tigre in there. So,
yeah.
So now anything I make, you will see a reference to the previous thing I made, and it's now traditional. And because I did it once, this is the second time I do it. Now it's gonna be kind of my thing. So I'm super excited to just. I have a gigantic movie that they announced at Chihuahua, which is basically a Street Fighter movie. So there's going to be fighters from all over the world, and I've always said, fighting brings the world together.
Funnily enough,
strangely, yes, the paradox. yeah. Who's your man on Street Fighter?
Yeah, and then I'm doing my first ever adult animated thing. I love Primal. I love what Gendy did. And so I said, I want to do my Primal. And Netflix,
yes, please.
Netflix said, go for it. So it's pretty crazy. They haven't announced it. and then I'm doing another regular TV show that's going to be a limited series, kind of like Maya, maybe Maya-esque. And then there's an anthology show that they haven't announced with shorts from different directors, and I'm doing one of those too. So I'm very much.
You heard it here first.
Very much.
That's really cool. Yeah, I Chihuahua was one of the things I was going to ask about, so it's good to give us a little bit of background on that as well, because that just looks like from obviously the couple of images that have been released, it just looks right up our alley, and we're so excited for it. We are so excited.
Did I hear about that? It's going to go as hard as Primal. Is that like? Did I hear that right? It's going to go as hard as Primal. This is going to be your Primal. Like it's going to be.
Well, Chihuahua will be a kids movie, although I haven't seen it.
I think I have.
It'll go as hard as Kung Fu Panda, maybe more, because there's a lot of dying in it, of course.
Okay.
But the adult thing is bloody and crazy.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. I was speaking to the guys about this. I was like, if we could get Guillermo, and we could go get Jorge, and we could get Gendy, and we could get Mignola, and all these guys, just make a horror mecha film about fighting and monsters. That would be just my kind of thing. And you practically kind of twisted it there. It's like, yeah, we kind of make it something like that. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, and if you need three in betweeners, then we might know a couple of people that can help out.
By the way, we got this close to doing Hellboy in Mexico.
Oh my god!
With Mignola, and then I was going to direct it, and we were this close, and then the rights are all tangled, so we couldn't do it.
Oh,
they just announced the new Hellboy movie, didn't they?
Yeah, they just did. Yeah. And Guillermo co-wrote it. I mean, not Guillermo. Mignola co-wrote it. So, keeping my fingers crossed. I'll anything he does, I want to see it.
That's amazing. Well, I appreciate you've got things to do with your day as well. Obviously, we've gone over a little bit of our allocated time slot, so I just want to thank you.
We'd forever, man. We'd speak to you for like forever.
Yeah.
So
when two animation nerds get together and talk, we will just talk forever. Sorry.
I think at some point, if maybe in the future we could get you back on the show, that would be absolutely incredible. We'd love to talk to you about maybe closer to the release of Chihuahua and stuff like that, and we could talk a little bit more because that'd be phenomenal. But I just want to really thank you for coming on the show. Obviously, it's a big deal.
Thank you so much, dude.
Having you on here.
No idea.
This has been
having a hero on here.
Yeah, this has been an amazing time. So just thank you for coming on.
I'm giddy. I'm giddy, man. I'm giddy.
Sam, Brian, Dan, thank you guys for having me. Thank you for letting me be the first one and for having gentle hands with me. I'll never forget it.
We're not quite Guillermo's level yet.
Now comes the part where we do the beatings.
Yes.
No.
The beatings commence.
The beatings.
Is there anything you wanna plug before we go, like social media or anything like that?
You know what? I wanna plug your guys' podcast. Let's get it out there. You guys are. The fact that you guys are all animators and you're talking about animation, you'd be shocked at how rare that is. So keep it going. Keep it going.
Dude, going a little bit inside baseball, there was a podcast, they don't make it anymore. There was a podcast with 3 animators who worked for in Seattle, I think for William Street, one of those studios. They did a podcast reviewing like the famous terrible animated movies like Food Fight and that stuff. But there hasn't been anything sort of contemporary like this. So that's why I thought it'd be a nice little niche to slide into. That's kind of where we came up with the idea. Yeah. Borrow elements from that and add our own spin to it. It's the theme of the whole episode.
And by the way, and that's animation.
Yeah.
Right? You learn from the previous and you try to make it better, and then you try to leave the art form better than you found it. That should be our goal for all of us.
Amazing.
All right, guys.
Thank you again for coming on. Hopefully we can try and get you on at some point in the future as well. But just thank you for being a friend of the show. You're going to officially be friend of the show from now on.
Podcast friends.
All right, you guys. Have a good one.
Take care, man.
Thanks a lot,
dude. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. So there you have it. Oh, my brain has just exploded. There you go. That was our interview with Jorge Gutierrez.
What the hell did we just do?
Oh my god. What?
That was
you legend.
That was so much fun. Again, I just want to thank Jorge for coming on the show. It's been absolutely amazing talking to him. I mean, all the stuff, again, a little bit inside baseball, all the stuff like behind the scenes with I've been talking to him and his agent and schedule and stuff. It's all been so for lack of a better word, like
Humble.
professional, so humble, so easy to talk to, so easy to deal with. So thank you for coming on the show, and we hope it's not the last time. We hope we can
We owe him.
get
We
you
owe
on
him
again in the
big.
future. Yeah, we owe you one. Yeah. If we're ever in LA, we'll buy you a Coke. Is that right?
We'll buy. You know what? We'll all have some tacos and some burritos because Mexican food is just the best. We've said it before. We'll say it again.
Yes. If
But
we
just
happen to
take
find
a trip
ourselves
to
in LA,
see-
yeah, if we happen to find ourselves in LA, we'll take you out for dinner. There we go. You choose where we
Yeah.
go, but we'll
Yeah.
pay for it and we'll eat it. More importantly.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so
Mm.
such a fun interview, such a good time, just kind of talking to him and stuff as well. It's been, again, for us, I don't want to preach too much about it, but we are still a new podcast. You know, we've not been around that long. We're just under a year for our actual, like, ignoring the pilot episode, but just under for our actual feed, we're just under a year. So for being a new podcast and managing to get to talk to someone like Jorge, it's been absolutely incredible. So thanks again for coming on, and we really hope that you guys like it. And please let us know what you think as well. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you think of the interview, and let Jorge know that you enjoyed listening to him on our show, because that's amazing. In the next episode, we are going to be talking about Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which was supposed to be this episode, but as I said, things have
Can't
happened.
find it.
It's busy.
Scheduling, it's a weird.
Timing.
Schedule conflicts, all
Parenting.
that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's been a tricky
What
thing
did
to try and get around.
What did Jorge say about us people making excuses?
Yeah.
But no, it's true. Like, we literally had no time to do this.
Yeah, it's been a
it's-
scheduling issue more than anything
Yeah.
else. But as I said, we're going to try and our absolute hardest to get it consistent again. So every other week there'll be a new episode. This episode will go out correctly, so it'll be on our next release window, which is this coming Wednesday, which means nothing if you're not listening to this at the time of release. But it will be released in our next release window, and then 2 weeks after that will be our episode Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and our topic for that will be Oscar picks. So what's been nominated for Oscars, and after we've reviewed Marcel, we've basically watched and reviewed all of the Oscars picks, so we can kind of talk about those a bit more in depth and sort of what we think will win or what we want to win, more importantly. So that'll be the next episode. So Mr. Dan, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they go about doing such a thing?
If they want to find all of my work and what I do and my portfolio and stuff, it's on www.danielcrew.co.uk. If they want to send me an email, it's info@danielcrew.co.uk. And on my socials, I am Dan Crew Animate, if they want to find me.
Absolutely perfect. Mr. Brian, I almost said Mr. Hancock's then, like you were the teacher. Mr. Hancock's, how can I get in touch with you?
Yeah. Oh, look, the internet's playing up again.
Hey!
The internet's playing up again, funnily enough. Yes, Mr. Hancock's. Don't look at me like that because I haven't got my website done again. Don't look at me like that. Judgmental looks. You guys can't see, but I can see it. Like, somebody that spit out is like orange juice. Them like disgusting.
That's
But anyway,
it's,
yeah,
it's
disgusting.
banana milk, actually.
Oh, it's milk.
Banana milk.
Oh, I thought it was orange juice.
Yeah, banana
Oh,
milk.
that's my son's favourite, that is. So it's Ketchup Beard on most things, or Ketchup Beard Creative. Otherwise, you can find me ketchupbeard@gmail.com for direct messages. But it's like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Ketchup Beard. Yeah, and then over to you, Mr. Sam Palmer.
Best place to get in touch with me, as always, is my Twitter account, which is @Sam_Palmer_37. There is my email address, which is very public. Send stuff to me there if you like. Want to hire me for stuff? That's sam@sam-palmer.co.uk. And my website, which is finished, Brian, which is
Shade.
which is sorry, I forgot my own website. sam-palmer.co.uk. For all my animation and graphic design and motion graphics and stuff on there. It is going to be ongoingly updated as and when I have new stuff on there, but I've got a good basis for stuff now on there. So go and check that stuff out if you want to. There's also my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/xhardcoregamerx. I have 3 videos in the works. One of them will be out next week. I 100% guarantee it. So there's that to look forward to. So there will be new
version.
Yes.
That's your
So
version of
hopefully by the
website,
time
innit?
this goes, basically, by the time this goes out, there will be a new video for you to watch. So keep an eye on my socials and stuff, and on the Animation Action Hour socials as well, because I'll be posting that too, which also leads me into our socials. If you want to get in touch with us on the podcast, you can on Twitter. It is @AnimActionPod. If you want to get in touch with us on Instagram, you can. It's at AnimActionPod. And if you want to email us for any reason whatsoever, you want to say how much you like the show, how much you hate the show, how much you want to be on the show, recommendations for films for us to watch or topics for us to talk about, get in touch with us at, which is at, it's animactionhour@gmail.com. So it's ANIM actionhour, one word, @gmail.com. So that's been another episode for another week, and it's been absolutely incredible, and I can't wait for people to hear it, and I can't wait to re-listen to it once it's been edited and put out again, because it's just so good. Just inspirational stuff. Like we've kind of been talking between recording the interview and recording these intros and outros and stuff about what our project's going to be. So we are super hyped now and super jazzed, and it's all your fault, Jorge. So yeah. It's been amazing. So
whatever we make is on him now.
whatever we create is on you, sir. This is all your fault. I'm gonna hold you responsible for what we conjure up.
Stop being so influential.
God damn it. Anyway, so we'll catch you in the next episode for Marcel the Shell with Shoes On and our Oscar picks. So I will see you later. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So when I tell my 3-year-old to say bye, say bye.
Bye. Bye. And we'll see you next time on the Animation Action Hour. See you later.